Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
Todd never sugarcoats it. Does he tell it straight? You bet. Does he deliver with a sense of humor? Always.
I always start my Sunday mornings off listening to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. It has tons of information, and he has such a great sense of humor.
My friends and I always tune in to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Hold on tight. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast. Good morning, good evening, and good night. I'm yours truly, Attorney Todd L. Levitt. Broadcasting and podcasting, you know what's coming from the mothership in a beautiful green nutrient field in the middle of the mitten, born in a D, baby, with my good friend Craig Russell, the Muscle, in the mothership. How you doing, Muscle?
I am doing fan-friggin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
I'm stoked right now. We're going to have a huge show. I mean, this show is going to be bigger than any show we have ever done to date. I'm not joking. And we opened up with David Lee Roth. Do you know why I opened up with that song today, Craig?
Because it's been so cold and been such a lousy winter, and California's got to be much warmer than where we are.
I heard that song last week on the way up to Roscommon Court. Big shout out to everybody up in Roscommon, Michigan. They do a great job up at that court. Court administrator, circuit court administrator, everybody, great job. And, it was once again in the middle of an amazing blizzard, a Midwest blizzard that crossed the Great Lakes here. Had a lot of lake effect snow just pouring down on my Silverado. And, of course, plenty of people on the road were taking stupid pills and idiot pills and driving like maniacs. I mean, I'm on a 2-lane highway heading north on 127 up to Roscommon at 7 o'clock in the morning. And you got these little Prius cars like Big Hair's car just hauling, past me. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to see you up and around the bend stuck in a ditch. And then you see a Mercedes fly by, a Cadillac. You see all these cars flying by, all these people from downstate who aren't used to driving in the northern country up here, God's land. And those are the ones that are just taking those stupid pills, driving reckless in the bad weather.
It always happens, man. Hey, I don't want to deviate from what you're talking about, but you brought up Big Hair. Hey, did you get the big hair emoji from him? What was that all about? What was that all about?
Big Hair. I got that emoji as well as about 50 other people. Big Hair had to remind everybody, all his friends, that it was his birthday, his 57th birthday, and in doing so, he sent out an emoji. And Big Hair, by the way, folks, is my best friend. He's on the bike team, and he shreds the gnar. And he looks like Bob Seger. He's 57 with a ton of gray hair. He is Bob Seger's double. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I was totally confused because I got this emoji text from him, and that's all he said. He didn't say, hey, it's my birthday or anything like that. I just got this big hair emoji. I'm like, I got to ask Todd about this. What is this all about?
I got the same emoji. It said "Happy Birthday," and it was big hair in the picture of his emoji.
Mine didn't say anything about it being his birthday. I just got the emoji. Maybe he mixed up when he sent it to me.
Cracks me up. I mean, you know what? That cracks me up. I have a question for you, Muscle. Okay. Craig Russell, the Muscle.
Okay.
As a kid growing up in Detroit, and I'm 53. I used to listen to, rock stations and, Black Sabbath
like
and all the
Riff.
great
You used to listen to the Riff, ABX, and those
Arthur
stations.
Penn Hollow. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Baby.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I love Arthur Penn Hollow was great. And I would always try to be the 10th caller, so I'd always get to my dial phone, and you have to turn it as fast as you could, and then back turn it and turn it again. So my question to you is, did you really count the callers, or did you just sit there in a room and say, okay, blah, 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 okay, let's pick this caller. Hey, guess what? You're the 10th caller. I mean, come on. I just don't buy the fact that you're going to count. Hey, we're going to take the 99th caller, and you're going to win a pair of tickets to see, Van Halen, David Lee Roth. How does that work?
No, you got to do that. You got to take the 10th caller. You got to take the 99th caller or whatever it is, because if you don't and you get caught, you get in a lot of trouble. That's rigging a contest. That's like fraud. You, if anybody, should know the law like that. You have to take the 10th caller. I worked with a guy who didn't take the 10th caller. He took, he would take caller number 9 2 or 3 times to try and get a good sounding listener. He got caught. Some little girl's mom called the radio station. He got fired. So you got to take the 10th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, is there any way you could hook me up with a pair of concert tickets for all the times I tried year after year after year? My right-hand index finger is just destroyed to this day because of trying to dial the phone, that dial phone so fast back and forth.
Tell you what, when Alice Cooper plays at Cobo Arena, I'll get you tickets to it, okay?
I love Alice Cooper. You had to bring up Alice Cooper. Now it's going to be going. The Alice Cooper tunes are going to be going across my noggin throughout the entire show here in the mothership. Hey, I got another story to tell you.
Okay.
So everybody knows, and I specialize amongst other things in driver's license restoration. I mean, I've reinstated thousands and thousands of driving privileges for men and women across the state of Michigan, and those who lived in Michigan and moved out of state. And I'm at the Secretary of State where these hearings take place last week.
Sure.
It was last Tuesday, so I'm not sure what the date was offhand. But in all my years of doing these cases at the Secretary of State, and the date was I think it was the 26th, actually.
Okay.
There were more babies born 9 months prior. I mean, I had never seen the Secretary of State so packed. The first thing I thought of was when I walked out of the room is, I had to try to do the math in my head to think, what month did all these parents get married and have a honeymoon to consummate that all these people are packed into the Secretary of State trying to renew their license on their birthday? So it was, I'm just telling you, if you go back 9 months, what is it from February 26th?
To June or July, something like that. June, maybe?
Okay, so there you go. People get married in the spring, go on their honeymoon, they kiss. Little babies are born. Many years later, Attorney Todd L. Levitt at the Secretary of State representing his clients. He walks out, standing room only, for all those babies born after their parents consummated their wedding.
Well, that's quite a picture you paint there. But let me tell you,
totally irrelevant information for our listening audience out there. Totally irrelevant.
Let me throw a couple of things out there. First place, what day is your actual birthday? What date were you born?
I don't like to give that out. I'm just saying.
Is it
that's kind of personal?
Early in the month or later in the month?
I'm not telling you.
Okay, well, I'll tell you mine. Mine is
okay. I was born towards the end of a month.
Okay, I was too. The 22nd is what my birth date is, and I have sat at that.
You're like 80.
I am close. I've sat at that Secretary of State's office like on the 28th or 29th because things have expired. That's why that place is so busy. It's 2 days before the end of the month. Everybody whose plates, their little tabs are getting ready to expire at the end of the month, you've got until basically the 28th. Well, that 26th is only 2 days away. That's what it really
you
is.
just ruined my entire vision of parents, after the honeymoon consummating.
Is it?
they're all adults now. But hey, Craig.
Is it 1956 again? They get married, they go on their honeymoon, and then they have a baby. That's not exactly the way it works all the time. I'm just saying.
Can you stop ruining my fairy tale day I'm having here? You know what?
Can I ruin something else? Can I ruin
Craig,
something else?
You already did.
Have you lived anywhere other than Michigan? Have you only lived in Michigan your entire life?
You're asking a lot of personal questions right now.
I'm
I've always lived in the Mitten State, the great state of Michigan.
If you live in other parts of the country,
Detroit, baby,
and people who are listening on podcasts who live in other parts of the country, they don't have a Secretary of State's office. You go to like the DMV or the driver's license.
Oh, right,
station.
Department of Motor Vehicle.
Right, you go get your driver's license one place, and then you go get your plates somewhere completely different. If you live in a state where you don't have a Secretary of State, and I think there's only like Florida or one other state that has the Secretary of State. Everywhere else, you have to go to like 2 different places, and the wait isn't that bad at all. Secretary of State's office, you can wait for hours there. Now they do the online thing, but man, you live somewhere else, you have no idea what we're talking about. The Secretary of State, that's a Michigan thing, true and true.
I want to go back to you ruining my fairy tale day I was having earlier. Hey, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Well, first off, we have a huge show, so we're going to get to what's going to... Big show. But before that, here's my question.
Okay.
How often do you come across someone that says, you ask them how they're doing, they say, oh, just living a dream.
All the time.
So when somebody says they're living a dream, okay, and I have a lot of friends that say that, I take that as they're not happy. They're struggling. They're trying to get through the day. And so when someone says they're living a dream, do you take that as they're not happy, or they're not happy in their job, or how do you view that response?
I take it the exact opposite. I think if they're living the dream, to me, the dream life, I know what my dream life would be. It would be doing some certain thing. It would be having lots of money, having lots of success, lots of fame, et cetera, et cetera. When they say living the dream, I always take that as,
no. You typically, you're at a grocery store, a gas station, you're at some location that, as a listener, you frequent on a regular basis, and it's polite. You say hi to the person, they get to know you by name, and they say, hey, Craig, how's your day going? And your response is, I'm just living a dream.
See, I take it
to me, that sounds like they're not happy. And I usually say, well, I'm living the same dream, and it's been a pretty good day today. So
I think it's the exact opposite, but
I disagree. Maybe we should take a poll. Poll of our listeners.
Yes, we should.
I bet Biker Bob would agree with me. Big shout out to Biker Bob, by the way. He's got to come back on the show soon. And by the way, Craig, I appeared on 2 podcasts last week. Other podcasts.
Okay.
Yep. Our good friend Chris Nanny from the Ohio State University School of Law has his own podcast. It's Canna Biz with Canna Chris.
Oh.
So I was on there with Chris and Austin.
That's
so
awesome.
Thanks, guys, for that. That was an awesome conversation. Then I appeared, you ready for this?
All right.
On the Dude Grow Show. I'm telling you, folks, check out Canna Biz on podcast and the Dude Grow Show with Scotty Reel and the Dude. Those guys, that show is just off the hook, and those guys are going to be coming on our show.
The dude from The Big Lebowski? That dude or a different dude?
This dude is just as cool and just as chillaxing, and Scotty Reel is the man. All I'm saying, if those two they have a great website, check it out, thedudegrows.com or dudegrow.com. I think there's an S there. They got a huge following, social media and whatnot. These guys are all about growing and legalities, and we had a great conversation. I'll be posting that, and they're definitely coming on our show here within the next week or two. But hey, Craig, we got to go to break, but we need to tease the audience as to what we're going to talk about today.
Which is?
Well, we talked about this in the past, how pot delivery businesses are starting to pop up in states which are recreational. You order a couple books, you order a pizza, you pay a high fee, and along comes a cannabis product.
Okay.
Well, in the state of Michigan, a lot of dispensary owners who are in pre-approval to get licensed are competing with 44 medical marijuana delivery businesses that are currently operating in the region. And these businesses don't have state licenses, but many of these businesses market themselves online in cannabis directories, and there's a little bit of conflict going on there. So we're going to be talking about pot delivery firms that are flourishing in the state of Michigan. Also, I want to thank Austin and Chris Nanny for bringing this to our attention. California, San Francisco, California, is expunging 9,000 criminal marijuana convictions. So we're going to be talking about that. And we have a lot of other law to get to right here on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
So we'll take a break, and we come back, we'll have more. First place, though, David Lee Roth. Bring us back and take us out.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt with an important message.
What's that, Todd?
Craig, mark your calendar. April 20th, 2019, the nation's premier event for everything cannabis and hemp is descending on the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort located right here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
What's that, Todd?
420 Canna Expo will feature the industry's most knowledgeable professionals from cultivation, medical, recreational, research, staffing, canna tourism, smoke shops, grow shops, merchandisers, glass makers, and more. Every facet of the industry will be represented on April 20th, 2019 at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. For more information on attending, sponsorship, and exhibitor space, log on to 420cannaexpo.com. That's 420cannaexpo.com. And stay tuned to our podcast for more information. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, coming back strong with David Lee Roth, Van Halen's very own. I like Sammy Hagar, but to me, Van Halen, when you love a group as I loved, Van Halen, it's like Led Zeppelin without Robert Plant.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work for me.
Sammy Hagar, I like Sammy Hagar doing
I love Sammy.
I love him doing his stuff, and I loved Van Halen with
Cabo Wabo.
Yeah, I mean, it's
absolutely.
The two of them, when they melded that, it just, I don't know, it just didn't work.
But last week, in Michigan here, we get so much, lake effect snow together with all the blizzards going across the Rocky Mountains that head right up towards us. I needed something to make me feel good. And when I heard him come on with that song, I just started singing in my truck. It was great.
I'm glad you just decided not to do the Beach Boys version, do the David Lee Roth version. Because, man, the Beach Boys, even though that's even more beachy and more warm sounding, the David Lee Roth one's the best.
Hey, Craig, I have a question for you.
I have an answer for you.
Pot delivery firms are flourishing in the state of Michigan.
Okay.
And these are unlicensed providers, by the way. And these are all over the country. These didn't start in Michigan. So Michigan is a recreational state, 21 and over. But the problem is, and we say it every week, you cannot just walk into a dispensary unless you're a medical marijuana card holder at this point into the end of 2019, at which point the rules and regulations will be put in place and everybody hopefully will be licensed and operational.
Right.
But there are a number of licensed brick and mortar dispensaries, provisioning centers, AKA, that are upset because these delivery operations are literally taking business from them, they argue, after they've invested thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, mortgages on their houses, millions of dollars into obtaining licenses, and property and rezoning to go into these businesses. And now in Michigan, there's more than 44 medical marijuana delivery businesses that are currently operating. So I totally see the conflict there. But the problem is, to me, it's not with the cannapreneurs. You like that? The cannapreneurs that are tempted to enter into the business. It's the state of Michigan, and they're doing everything they can to speed up the process. But the state of Michigan, they have hundreds of applications to approve for grow operations, provisioning centers, processing facilities, testing, and so on and so forth, that the demand out there has caused almost this homegrown business to pop up. It's the demand that cannot be met right now. And so now you have these delivery firms, and they are caregivers basically providing the medicine that's being delivered. It's caregivers. Well, so that's where the whole conflict is.
Okay, so refresh my memory. I know we've talked about this before, but what actually happens with this? Explain like a typical pot delivery system idea or plan or whatever they do.
So basically, here's how it works, okay? It could be anything that people want delivered. You could come up with food, books, flowers. You could come up with anything. You could. Some of these businesses are just delivering marijuana on its own. Well, from my understanding. So my point is...
Well, do you have to be a medical marijuana card holder to receive these, or can you be just anybody?
My understanding is you have groups of medical marijuana caregivers who are coming together, who have the ability to provide medicine to 5 patients apiece. And it's these medical marijuana caregivers who are providing all the medicine for the deliveries to the various patients. And products are being tested at various labs that are already in existence around the state. So I'm not taking a position either way. I understand the provisioning center. By the way, Mount Pleasant, Michigan did give out their 3 provisioning centers, dispensaries to 3 different entities over the last couple of weeks. There was a lotto, and they just spun a little machine, put their hand in, and picked out 3 lucky winners. So we're going to have 3 great dispensaries here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, who should all be attending the 420 Canna Hemp Expo at the Soaring Eagle Casino.
Yeah.
But back to these businesses, I see both. I see the pros and cons of both, but I'm for the dispensaries. I understand their concern, but I'm also understand, these cannapreneurs who are looking to supply, the state of Michigan with this huge, heavy demand for product that is out there. They say Michigan is second only to California right now.
Well, of course, because the population of Michigan is nearly 10 million people. California is the biggest state so far that has approved recreational marijuana. Michigan's the second biggest. I guess what I don't understand is if I am a caregiver and I'm allowed to give my patients marijuana. They're not buying it. They're just giving it, correct? Because you can only gift it. What are they doing that's so wrong? They're basically, all they're doing is kind of cutting out the middleman. What if that American medical marijuana patient doesn't have access to a car or is disabled, and that's why they're taking the medicine to begin with? All these people are just doing is providing a service, and they're not breaking the law. Now, if they're delivering a pizza and also marijuana to somebody who is not a card holder, that's where it probably gets a little fishy. But if they're giving it to patients who have card holders, and I imagine somebody's checking that, what's the big deal?
So here's the legality as a defense attorney and a cannabis lawyer myself. So if you have a caregiver delivering to a patient, and before the delivery takes place, the patient sends a picture to the delivery person who's a caregiver that they're an actual card holder, and it's a legit patient to caregiver exchange, then the caregiver can transfer product to the patient. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But I think where people are going to get themselves in trouble, and I'm just thinking as a defense attorney, if there's a patient that's not necessarily tied to a caregiver, if you're not matching up the patients, to the caregiver that aren't tied up, I think you could have an issue legally under the 2008 Medical Marijuana Act. I interpret the law to protect these patients who are using such services. I mean, they're legit medical card holders, and they're being provided medicine from, legit medical marijuana caregivers.
Sure.
So,
I mean, yeah, because now where I could see there's going to be a problem at some point if a caregiver is helping more than 5 patients, like you said, they can do up to 5, or if they start delivering product that's meant for medical marijuana patients to just recreational users, and or if they sell it, that's where the problem is going to lie. Now, if you have to make a purchase of something else to get the medical marijuana, that's kind of fishy too. But still, for the most part, if it's a caregiver delivering it to a patient, I don't see where the big deal is.
The issue could come in if patients are receiving, medicine from someone other than their own caregiver.
Right.
And even if the person who's delivering it is a registered caregiver, if it's not their registered caregiver, there could be some issues there and you could lose protections. But again, if you're a dispensary owner and you've worked so hard, I have seen firsthand what men and women and these corporations and individuals who have put everything on the line to obtain licensing and to purchase real estate and to go through the whole rezoning process, to hire attorneys and accountants and architects and plumbers and electricians. I mean, I can go on and on and on. They have put so much into this industry, and they feel, not all of them, I'm not speaking on behalf of all of them, but I'm just putting myself in their position, that they feel that, hey, wait a minute. I've done everything the state has required, and now on the other hand, you have all these delivery businesses who are not licensed through the state, they're not regulated, and they're operating in the gray area. I also see the side of these delivery businesses. So, there's pros and cons both ways. I'm not sure how the public feels about it, but what I would say is eventually within the next year or two, everything's going to come into play, everything is going to work out, and I think everyone will be happy.
And I think in the next year or two that some of those things, when you start getting actual recreational provisioning centers up and running, then there's going to be some regulating going on, especially with some of these delivery people. But I think it's a little ways off. But
provisioning centers, the dispensaries are going to be allowed to do home delivery in Michigan. You know that we talked about that,
right? But I'm just saying, if you are at this point, I mean, okay, so who's doing the delivering? Is it going to be like a Grubhub kind of thing? Is it going to be
No. There's specific rules and regulations that the state of Michigan has put in place to govern how dispensaries have to provide delivery services to the general public, and that's a whole nother show.
Right.
But again, eventually, as more grow facilities are brought into the fold and are licensed, and more provisioning centers open up, and the rules and regulations are finally put in place, I think everything will balance out, and you'll still have these other delivery businesses. Everybody's going to be happy. The demand is just huge right now. Also, something that we need to talk about is, Michigan borders Ohio. Ohio's to the south of Michigan. If you're an Ohio registered medical marijuana patient, or you're a patient in any state in our wonderful country, we love the United States of America, and you come into the state of Michigan, Michigan law allows you to purchase product from a dispensary. The issue I have with Ohio Ohio has not reciprocated yet to allow its own citizens to cross the border to our dispensaries and to go back to Ohio. So if my understanding is if you're from Ohio, even Toledo, Ohio, you come into Michigan, one of the border dispensaries, and then you go back to Ohio and you get pulled over and you acknowledge that you purchased the product in Michigan, you're going to be in trouble with the law. I mean, come on, men and women of Ohio, let's get going on this. Where's the protection?
Well, you know what really needs to be is
you need to talk to Nanny about this.
You really need to get the federal government to end prohibition and take it off of Schedule 1 and make
free the weed, baby, free the weed.
Make it legal in all 50 states, and this will be all.
And prohibition. Yep. Exactly. And federal prohibition and free the weed. Yep. I mean, if you turn on any cable news station, there's so much bickering going on about this, that, and the other thing. How about just paying attention to, the citizens of this country and what's going on, in all 50 states at the grassroots level? That's what we need them to do right now.
And at this point, it's a good time to take a break. When we come back, we've got more 420 Canna Expo news coming up. And what else are we going to talk about, Todd?
Free the weed.
Okay, that works. We'll be right back.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt with an important message.
What's that, Todd?
Craig, mark your calendar. April 20th, 2019, the nation's premier event for everything cannabis and hemp is descending on the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort located right here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
What's that, Todd?
420 Canna Expo will feature the industry's most knowledgeable professionals from cultivation, medical, recreational, research, staffing, canna tourism, smoke shops, grow shops, merchandisers, glass makers, and more. Every facet of the industry will be represented on April 20th, 2019 at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. For more information on attending, sponsorship, and exhibitor space, log on to 420cannaexpo.com. That's 420cannaexpo.com. And stay tuned to our podcast for more information. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting in a beautiful green nutrient field. It's a hemp field, by the way, the muscle. I'm sitting in a hemp field today, and it is just beautiful, albeit there is snow on the ground. I know the soil is fresh, and the little seedlings are ready to bud.
And there's a smile on your face and a song in your heart.
There is, and it's David Lee Roth.
Of course, we podcast this all over the country, all over the world. Libsyn, SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn, YouTube, all over the place, all your normal podcasting platforms. But we are based in Michigan, the great state of Michigan, the Mitten State. And we got an email from someone in Michigan who wanted to know about the new sobriety court laws. Tell me about that.
So if you are someone in Michigan, and this applies to other states because I've looked around the country, done some research. If you are charged in Michigan with a third offense, drinking and driving, any combination thereof, in a lifetime, under Heidi's law, you could be charged and convicted of a felony. So if you're somebody, you're 50, you're in your 60s, 70s, and back in the 70s and 80s, you had 2 convictions for drinking and driving. Well, now you fast forward to 2019. In Michigan, it could be 30 years thereafter, and you could be charged with a felony. Now, if in fact you qualify and you get an alcohol assessment and there's other things, other standards that are met, and the prosecutor, who's a gatekeeper, feels that you're a good candidate, you can enter into one of these sobriety recovery court programs. We have Lisa Ashley, local. We have Kathleen Fields, Doreen. These women do a great job, so do the men. So you enter into a program, and it's most of these programs, Susan, over Mecosta County, I can't leave anybody out. Some of these are 4-phase programs. They're very intense. They involve SoberLink devices, compliance with daily testing, one-on-one group AA. And if you complete the program, then the felony is reduced to a misdemeanor after a period of 1 or 2 years, depending upon how long the program is. One of the other benefits is that under most circumstances, these individuals would lose their ability to operate a motor vehicle indefinitely, not suspended with restrictions. I mean, it is gone. It is revoked. If you enter into the Sobriety Recovery Court program, there's a good chance that that program has the ability to ask the state of Michigan for restricted privileges with an ignition interlock device affixed to whatever motor vehicle you operate. So if you're a candidate and you're in the program and that jurisdiction has the driver's license component, well, you get a restricted license, but you have to have a blow and go affixed to your vehicle. The question is, how long do you have to have that device for? Does the blow and go and your restricted license only last until you're done with probation? The answer is no. So let's take Michigan, for instance.
Okay.
In the state of Michigan, if you have 3 convictions for any combination of a drinking and driving offense within a 10-year period, so you have 3 convictions within 10 years, you follow me?
Right.
You're going to lose your ability to operate a motor vehicle, and after a period of 5 years, you become eligible to apply for restrictions with that ignition interlock device. If you go into recovery court, after 90 days, 45 days, you're going to circumvent that 5-year mandatory revocation, and you're going to get a restricted license possibly right away. Now, the question is, when do you get to apply for full licensing? And the answer is, it goes back to the original formula to which your driving record reflects. So if you, without sobriety court, if you were going to have to wait 5 years, then you're going to be on a restricted license for 5 years. If you get 2 alcohol convictions within a 7-year period, okay, so you were convicted 6 years ago, now you're pleading guilty and you're convicted of operating while intoxicated once again. So 2 within 7, you lose your license indefinitely, but you get to apply after a period of 1 year as opposed to 5 years, 3 within 10. But if you're on a sobriety court license, men and women, or you know somebody that is, it goes back to the original time period that would have taken place on your driving record. So I spoke to someone last week who was under a 5-year mandatory revocation. She just obtained a license through the sobriety court. Well, she's going to have that restricted for 5 years with that blow and go device before she can ask the state of Michigan to remove it. And she's going to have a hearing that's going to have to take place before an attorney for the state of Michigan.
Now, is this new information? Is this something that has changed recently, or is this how it has always been?
I mean, it's been this way. If you have a recovery court or sobriety court license, it's been this way for quite some time. And people ask me all the time, look, I have a sobriety court license. When can I apply to have the ignition interlock, the blow and go device removed and get my full license back? And I told them what I just told the audience, you have to go back to the original formula. You know, what was the period of denial and revocation? If it was 2 within 7, then after a year, you can apply for a hearing to remove the restrictions. If you were 3 within 10 and it was a 5-year period of revocation, then you have to have that restricted license with that blow and go for 5 years before you can remove it. Now, here's the thing that's really horrible. If you're under a 5-year revocation and you have a sobriety court license, and after 4.5 years, you have a major violation, such as you blow a certain amount of alcohol in the device, well, you're going to have it revoked. You're going to have to go another 5 years before you can reapply.
You're going to start all over, basically.
Start all over again.
Yeah, okay.
Correct. Now, the listening audience wants to know what a blow and go device is. It's an ignition interlock device in which, in order to start the car, you have to blow into it first thing in the morning or whenever you're going to start the vehicle, and it's connected to the computer of your car system. Now, there's all kinds of faulty problems with these devices. There's false positives. Depending upon what you eat, there can be problems. You can have electrical problems. You can also have battery problems. If you have a problem, any violation whatsoever, within 24 hours, you are required to get what's called an ETG test. An ETG test is going to test the alcohol, certain chemicals within your body to determine if you drank within the last 72 hours.
Well, this is all great information, and like you said, this is also the law.
Something I specialize in.
Yeah, I know. And you said this is the law in a lot of other parts of the country.
Oh yeah, Minnesota. I mean, I can go on and on. You can go to all 50 states, and if some of these states are really tough, Florida, Texas, California. If you're a habitual drunk driver, the states vary in regards to what the sanctions are. But I have clients who were Michigan residents that now live all over the place: Montana, Wyoming, Oregon, Washington, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, New Hampshire. I represent a lot of iron workers, a lot of directional drillers, a lot of great men who work for all the unions out there, all the electricians, and they end up working out of state. And some of these men and women actually stay permanent residents of these states, but when they were originally licensed in Michigan, Michigan retains jurisdiction. So if you or someone out there, whichever state originally licensed that person, and now they've moved to another state, they're not going to be able to get a license in another state, Craig, because there's something called a national compact where all the states are pretty much online together. So if you live in, let's say, Texas, Arkansas, or Missouri, or Alabama, or Florida, or Georgia, and you live there now, but you were at one time a Michigan resident and Michigan took your license, these other states are not going to give you a driver's license until you clear up Michigan. And I do what's called an out-of-state restoration. So that's something I've done for years. There's a whole out-of-state process that I represent people on.
And on top of it, of course, if you live in another state, maybe you're listening to us on the podcast, and you have a situation like this, and you might not know who to call. You might not know where to get help. Call Todd's office, 989-772-6000. If he can't help you, he will put you in touch with a great lawyer in your area that can help you. Because that's
I don't take every case. I don't take every case.
No, but you want to help.
Yeah.
You want to help. I get it. So.
Well, yeah, you know what? These states across the country, we say it each and every week. We talked about this at the end of the show last week. If you're going to punish someone, okay, look, I get it. Let's be fair, albeit I'm a defense attorney. There are people out there who do put us at risk.
Sure.
We don't want people out there, drinking and getting behind the wheel and killing some of our loved ones, including themselves. And these devices, the car will shut down. If you have a certain amount of alcohol in you, the car will lock out and you will not be able to start it up. You have to call the ignition interlock company, and it takes, certain times up to 72 hours before that can be released. So there are measurements in place, but my beef is with all the states, they punish so many men and women and take their driving privileges, but yet they want them to go to classes. They want them to go to counseling. They want them to go to AA. They want them to do this. They want them to do that. But hey, guess what? We're going to take your darn freaking driving privileges, and you're not going to be able to get to all these different counselings and AA and all these requirements, and then you're going to get violated. And then you're going to go to jail, and it's going to cost you more money. And then your kids are going to suffer. So the states have got to stop punishing men and women by taking away their ability to earn a living and support their families by taking their driving privileges away. It's getting worse and worse. I've been doing this for 25 years, and the states just keep grinding and grinding and grinding away at these men and women. And it's sad, and I just do my best in doing what I can to get these people back on the road. And look, in the state of Michigan, we do have operating with the presence of a controlled substance, which goes towards that 2 within 7 or 3 within 10. So if, we don't have any THC limits here in the state of Michigan, you can be operating a motor vehicle and have smoked a week ago. You get pulled over, you could be arrested, your blood taken. If there's any nanograms in your system, you're going to be convicted of what's equal to a drinking and driving offense. And impairment is not an element that the prosecutor has to prove. It's zero tolerance with THC. Yes, folks, we live in a frickin' recreational state, and it's zero tolerance with THC when you operate a motor vehicle, whereas you could operate a motor vehicle, and as long as your blood alcohol with alcohol is below a 0.08, you should be okay. I mean, hypocrisy is ridiculous.
Well, and you know that eventually the laws are going to change. They're going to have to keep up with the times. That will happen. Great information, Todd. We've got to take a break. When we come back, 420 Canna Expo update news, and we'll wrap up the show next on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
This is attorney Todd L. Levitt with an important message.
What's that, Todd?
Craig, mark your calendar. April 20th, 2019, the nation's premier event for everything cannabis and hemp is descending on the Soaring Eagle Casino Casino and Resort located right here in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
What's that, Todd?
420 Canna Expo will feature the industry's most knowledgeable professionals from cultivation, medical, recreational, research, staffing, canna tourism, smoke shops, grow shops, merchandisers, glassmakers, and more. Every facet of the industry will be represented on April 20th, 2019 at the Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. For more information on attending, sponsorship, and exhibitor space, log on to 420cannaexpo.com. That's 420cannaexpo.com. And stay tuned to our podcast for more information. Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Fired up in the mothership this morning, Craig Russell, the muscle. I'm just
6 Mountain Dews, didn't you, man? You're all ready to go.
I've been chewing on coffee beans. I used to chew. I used to get a Copenhagen here and there once in a while. I no longer chew.
Good.
I did. I do like a good cigar. Hey, by the way, I want to dedicate this show to my newborn cousin.
Oh, okay.
My cousin Anthony, AZ baby, had a baby boy, Anthony. He was born last week, a beautiful baby boy, also named Anthony. So I just want to send a big shout out to my entire family, my cousin Anthony, his wife Rosanna, parents Dawn and Anthony. Everybody's Anthony. Rosalia, everybody.
How did you end up not being an Anthony?
I should have been an Anthony. Are you kidding me?
I know.
You ever see my hair?
I have. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. But what a beautiful, beautiful baby. Anytime there's an addition to a family and a baby's born, we were in a hospital waiting. It's just a beautiful thing. And what a beautiful child. And, Anthony and Rosanna are just the best parents and the grandparents. And, Anthony's sister was there. It was just a great moment. And so this show is dedicated to the King Anthony, who was born last week.
And, of course, it's a blessing.
I call him the King. Yeah.
It's a blessed event, and
it is a blessing.
All the best, and thank God that everybody's happy and healthy, and that's a good thing. So,
absolutely.
420 Canna Expo is a little over 6 weeks away. The Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, the largest casino east of the Mississippi in this country. This is 700,000 square feet of gaming and fun goodness. I don't know if it's that much. It's something like that. And it's also going to host the 420 Canna Expo on 420. Give us an update, Todd.
Okay, it's getting huge. Okay, this is free to the public. We have vendors and exhibitors coming from every facet now of the cannabis industry, from growers to lighting companies to seed companies. We have speakers from attorneys to pharmacologies to medical doctors. We have so many exhibitors. It's free to the public. Most of these shows charge money. I'm hearing from men and women from all over the country that are interested in coming. Just go to 420cannaexpo.com. All the exhibitor attendee information is right there if you want to be a sponsor. Contact my office at 989-772-6000 if you're interested. Mount Pleasant, Michigan just granted 3 licenses for dispensaries. We hope they're all present. If somebody out there knows an accountant or plumbers and electricians that are involved in the industry, I would like to have those as exhibitors as well. Glass companies. We're going to have every facet of the industry. It is overwhelming, the response. First first off, the casino is massive. This is a beautiful piece of property. They have restaurants. There's a country concert going on that night. Josh Turner and Scotty McCready are there. There's already thousands and thousands of people who are going to be at the casino to see the concert. We're bringing in thousands and thousands of people. We're in a college town here. They're going to come and see all the exhibitors. We also have a business-to-business together with Heidi and Don and everyone from mycompassion.org. It's going to be over the top. Check it out, folks. We talk about it week in and week out, but we're stoked. I'm pumped. I'm going to get my old skateboard out. I'm going to dust off the wheels. And we're gonna have some fun. I'm gonna put some new grip tape on. I used to own a big skateboard company. I don't think the listeners know that, called Skate War. And I'm an old skater dude from the 70s. I can drop in still, so I'm gonna put up some ramps, do some 360s, some Tony Hawkish, and I'm gonna be all over the place.
Todd, you know I'm a sucker for an inspirational quote or six. Give me some. You got some?
Yeah, this comes from Buddha Farms. Buddha Farms, okay? And I followed them on LinkedIn, and they had a great quote. And it's Bill Murray is the one in the quote. He says, "I find it quite ironic that the most dangerous thing about weed is getting caught with it." You like that? I find it ironic that the most dangerous thing about weed is getting caught with it. I don't know. I thought that was pretty compelling, and I definitely had to bring that up on the show.
You got any other ones? I love a good inspirational quote.
Well, I saw a T-shirt the other day that said, "A friend with weed is a friend indeed." So that was a good. I had a client once that came to court. This is way back in the day, with a Budweiser T-shirt on during sentencing for a drinking and driving offense. I said, "Come on, are you kidding me?" No, I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
Came to court with a Budweiser T-shirt on. I said, "Listen, that's not going to go over well. You better go across the street to Meijer and go get a new shirt." And so I had to set. I'll never forget this. I had to ask the judge if they'll allow me to hop on the docket later that day so he can go do that, and he did, and he came back to court.
Hey, Todd, you know what? I hate to break the news to you, man, but the show's over. We got to go.
Now, come on, Craig. Why do you always end the show like that? You can't do that to me. I was actually living a dream, Craig. Wait, hold on. I wasn't living a dream. I was living a dream. So somebody says to me, "I'm living the dream," that's a beat, as opposed to somebody you say, "Hey, how's your day going?" Just living a dream. I don't know. Two complete opposites there. I'm just saying.
Todd, I don't make the rules. I just have to follow them. The show's all done. We got to go.
Craig, we got to go. I'll see you at 420 Canna Expo. Big shout out to my cousin Anthony and baby Anthony. We're not just litigators. We're advocators. Take us out with some sunshine and David Lee Roth. We'll see you next week.
The Todd L. Levitt Law Show, brought to you by Chad Mallywell Drilling of Rosebush, Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant, Clear Vision Windows, Siding, Roofing, and Attic Installation of Midland, Mackinac Properties and Northern Michigan Vacation Rentals, buying, selling, and renting properties in the Straits of Mackinac region since 1998, Tim's Collision Plus in Roscommon, Harrison Power Sports, Central Michigan's fastest-growing full-line Arctic Cat dealer, and Dr. Robert Townsend and Denali Healthcare for your alternative healthcare needs.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.